Hello and welcome to the channel and episode 3 of this unique ranting series. If you're enjoying this content, like, share, subscribe, and especially comment. I am looking for interactivity. I'm looking for suggestions for what people would like to hear me rant about. Anything in particular you'd like to see in the game. Yeah. This episode is going to be titled Dreams Interspersed with Dreams, which is kind of an excerpt from a little poem I made when I was 12. Life is but a dream interspersed with dreams, but if life is but a dream, what are dreams? And kind of what that's alluding to is, well, when I was planning for this episode here today, I was thinking, I wanted to kind of do it on like key background traits and characteristics that give my perspective more credence, and why would a person bother to listen to what a guy like I have to say. I'm not famous. I haven't gone to secondary school. I'm not a professor. So why would you care what this random person over the internet has to say? And but when I was obviously it's too big to fit into a single 15 to 30 minute episode. It's just way too big of a topic. So the moment I realized that I can't do that, I'm gonna have to break this up into several episodes. I decided that instead of one of the main ones that kind of stand out in the person I am today, I figured I'd do one that it does actually color my perspective, but it's one that people who know me today would not see this side of me at all. And that is my artistic and more emotional side. Art comes from suffering, so your true artists tend to be emo, for lack of a better description. They do tend to be more emotional. They wear their heart out on their sleeve. They tend to be doormats. And that's art and suffering go hand in hand. The more a person suffers, the greater their art, unfortunately. Or fortunately, hey, if you're going to go through horrible stuff, hey, at least it helps you be a good artist. At least there is that silver lining there. And that's kind of, that's why I feel that, even though I'm not that way anymore, I haven't done art now for 25 years, even though I used to be a phenomenal artist. Unfortunately, I don't have any of my old art, and I really think that's unfortunate. There was one piece of art that I thought had been held on to, but apparently at some point it had gotten misplaced. But yeah, no, I don't have any of my art. On the plus side, the reason I don't have any of my art was that periodically we would go through and just kind of clear out my art, and it really gave me the tools and knowledge. I will never be a person who has a hoarding issue. I don't hoard. Other than say in a game. And even there, I have no problem moving on to the next game, and my save file is gone forever. Okay, it happens. I'm more readily able and willing to let go of things of that nature, because like I say, I was forced to periodically go through all of my art and get rid of it. But yeah, I used to, we were poor, but we would get the printer paper, the machine printer paper from your oil companies that work the oil patch, that work the oil fields here in Alberta. And cause that was one of those things. We grew up dirt poor, but I live in Canada. So even though we had nothing for money, I still didn't really go without. don't get me wrong, like there were still horrors that I witnessed and blah blah blah. But like I wasn't starving. I wasn't, you know, we. Okay, most of the chips that got to eat as a kid were slightly stale because they were all expired chips, but you know, as a kid you didn't really notice the difference anyways, especially if you're not getting the normal ones most of the time anyways. So like, I mean, I still got chips, I still got and I mean, I don't know, on the bad side, I did shoplift. So like I did get my fair share there as well, which was you know, that's a thing that too, that like I've changed perspectives on. So like I understand both sides of that coin, because I grew up that poor Aladdin kid who is stealing for survival. And yeah, like at the time, I really had no moral compunctions of any kind for yeah, let's set it for that, because we've already been talking. I forgot to set my timer, but I don't want to short this. I want this to be at least 20 minutes. Because there's so much of my background to fit in and I really want to get that out of the way so then I can get into real ranting. But I mean, really, I gotta, you know, I'm not somebody famous, so I kind of do need to set that up of why would you listen to me? And the reason is because I've walked in your shoes, metaphorically, before. In one way or another. You know what I mean? Like, I even though I haven't traveled much, I'm not worldly, and I'm really not. I'm not closed-minded, and so, I don't know, it's... Even without being close-minded, even without traveling, I've still experienced facets of everything where I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have seen racism, and on both ends of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen people be racist to minorities, and I've seen those same minorities be racist right back. I've you know, I've seen extreme poverty. I've seen hoarding. Oh, have I seen hoarding?
G'day, Survivor.
Good day. Yes, sirree. I've definitely seen hoarding. I don't know. For me, it's not a problem. I don't have any issue that forces me to cling on to material objects of any kind. Like I want things that I'm going to use, but if I'm not going to use it, I have no problem getting rid of it. Even if it's something useful. If it's something useful, okay, well, we'll sell it on one of the buy and sells, or even give it away. But we are still getting rid of it because we're not going to use it. It's I quite often go to, like, I go by the 5-year rule. If do you see yourself using that within the next 5? It isn't. Do you see a use for it? Do you see yourself using it in the next 5 years? If you don't, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Whether it's selling, whether it's whatever, get rid of it. Unless, of course, we're talking about specific collectibles. Collectibles is a different story, and even there, only get so much as you can store. If you can't store it, don't get it. But I don't know. To each their own. That's my rule. And it seems to be fairly healthy, which is kind of an important factor too, right? Like, when you hoard so much of something that like you need to be worried about it collapsing on you and you not being able to get out of your house, or if you're one of the dirty hoarders, oh, that's that's bad, man. Like, you can't do that. It's bad for you. Like, it's bad for you. I know you think you're doing good for, and the hoarding of animals, oh, that one's bad. That one I understand perfectly well while your person does it, but the moment you're reaching you're reaching double digits for pets, okay? Well, in a normal home. The fact is, like, if you can accommodate more, you can accommodate more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you live out on an acreage and have built extra animal pens and whatever for, like, okay. But in a normal house, like, no, you shouldn't be having dozens of pets. You should not have 25 cats. You shouldn't have 25 dogs. You shouldn't have 5. Okay, like, even 5 is like, whoa, no more, okay? You gotta let them start dying off before you contemplate picking up another one. Not to be, but because the problem is the moment you get, for most people, 1 or 2 pets is enough. Like, you don't have the time to properly care for more than that. You can't give them the attention that they properly require. And people, especially people that are giving of that nature, they tend not to be too industrial, if you get my meaning. Like, so they tend not to be productive in means that produce an income, or produce wealth. So, like, just on a financial level, you can only feed so many animals. If you start getting more animals than you can feed, then all of the animals that you have are suffering. That's not good. You're not doing a good thing at that point. But I mean, even that, I've lived it. There was a period in time when I used to describe my mom's home as a zoo. Because, yeah, we had all kinds of animals. And I mean, in that, like, all kinds of animals. We had ferrets, we had parrots, we had guinea pigs, we had dogs, cats, we had fish, we had iguanas. My mom had arachnophobia, but we did have a boarder at one time who had a tarantula. Plus, my mom, when she worked at the pet store here in town for a while, back when it was only the one pet store, the one that actually burned down not too long ago, for those of you local to Whitecourt. But yeah, when she worked there, she ended up getting used to the tarantulas and whatnot. And it was one of those, you just recognize that, like, it is defanged. It is like it is harmless, right? It can't do anything. And I mean, even then, like, it creeped my mom out because she has arachnophobia. Which is funny. I used to tease my mom so much about her arachnophobia because I was, at that point in time, I was your typical, like, when I was a kid, I was your typical boy in that aspect, in your bugs and your reptiles, and we used to collect tadpoles and grew them into frogs, and yeah, I did all that stuff, and especially spiders. I never had no problem catching spiders and feeding them, and like, but now, oh, I got arachnophobia now. I think it was actually the movie Arachnophobia, if I'm honest, that gave me arachnophobia. Like, if I'm honest, I think that's what it was. And then plus, having that idea from the movie that it doesn't have to be a big spider to be able to kill you. Oh, yeah, no, it freaks me out now. And now, I don't know, now I'm like a girl. Ew, it's creepy, it's gross. And that's with bugs just in general. But yeah, as a kid, I was your typical boy about it. Like, I had no issue at all. I'd eat bugs. Like, well, okay, not literally, but I probably would have had no problem having, like, your chocolate-covered grasshoppers, that sort of thing. I probably literally would have had no problem with it. Now, I don't know. you'd have to really talk me into it, and that's only because I've experienced stuff as a chef that, okay, I'm willing to give stuff that I think would be gross a shot. Even if I think it's gross, just give it a shot. Like, I don't like seafood. I'm not a seafood person. Ooh, there's something under my base. Ooh. Should we go see what's under the base? Kind of got away from the actual topic of this. This was supposed to be more about my artistic side and stories about that. You know, why it kind of, I don't know. I guess just giving information that I don't know. Yeah, I know. I was, you know, and it's funny. Well, the one thing that's a story that I can tell that's kind of interesting. That ties into when I was in art. Well, that ties into something completely random. Because the idea about from this story is I learned that how memory actually works. We think that our memory is written in stone. That when you remember something solidly, that you're remembering it exactly as it. That's not the way memory works. Our memories change as we take in more information. But certain aspects will be keyed in, and that will be what matters. Which brings me to the story. What got me into art? The key memory that got me into art was a Christmas memory. It was, you know, I was young, and like I say, this was the thing that got me into art. And as a child and an early teen, I was known as being as an artist. Like, all my friends knew that I did art, and you know, most of my one-on-one memories with a lot of my friends were had to do with me doing art. Like my first black friend, I don't want to give his name just in case, you know. I think he'd be fine, but you never know, right? But yeah, I remember with him, we used to sit on the playground, and because we were both geeks, he was looking into being in the Air Force and eventually becoming an astronaut. He was really interested in flight and space flight specifically. He ended up going Army, but so he did do military life, but he did not. He didn't go. He ended up not going with Air Force, which, hey, isn't a big shock. How many of us have like went the way that we intended? And it's not a loss, right? Like, it's not, you grew and like, you know, it's not that you gave up on a dream. It's that wasn't your real dream, you know, kind of deal, I think. It's like me being a video game designer. I've always wanted to be a video game designer, and hey, maybe one day I still will. But in particular, I've had a video game design in my mind since I was like 11, and it's still, nobody has come out with it yet. Like, it blows my mind that like, because that's kind of why I have stopped really pushing. Is it's like, everybody is into video games now. Like, there's 1,000,000,001 companies. Especially like whether it's your indies or your big office, like video games is seems to be an overly saturated area at this point in time. So it's like, well, you know, like, there's no point in me doing it. By the time I go to school and learn the things that I need to learn and work my way up in that industry enough for a big wig to take me seriously on, hey, let me design my own game, somebody's going to have designed my game. You know, somebody's going to have had this brilliant idea and be willing to put the work in. Because it's one of those, you don't have, my idea, you wouldn't have to do it all in one. Like, it's the grand idea is a massive project. But the thing about it is you don't have to do it whole. You just need to keep in mind that this is the grand project. So Start with the basic infrastructure of the game that will allow you to build other features that you know you're going to have in later on, where you can ignore those features for the meantime. You know what I mean? But nobody's done my vision yet. Nobody's even, like I say, nobody's even come close. I thought when MMOs first came out when I was a teenager that it was over. Somebody was going to do it. And nobody's done it yet. Nobody's done it yet. So who knows? Maybe I'll still go that way. But my vision now is I've been a cook. It was initially something that I fell into, but these days I found that I really super enjoy it. Like I mean I always did know that I was a good cook. Like home ec was one of my favorite classes in high school. Mostly because I was a poor kid, so hey, you're going to give me $25 a day to go and make my own food, anything I want? Oh, that's amazing. Know how to budget? Oh yeah, I know how to budget, especially if I can eat what I want to eat. Now, hey, yeah, if you're going to go with steak or certain meats and whatnot, oh yeah, no, that's going to be expensive. But if you have no problem cooking things with hamburger meat, oh man, you can make some yummy things for dirt cheap. As long as you don't mind eating similar things over and over, right? And I don't know. I didn't have that issue. Now I don't know. Now I'm spoiled. I've been a chef for well, not 25 years, about 20 years. I've been a chef now. Well, I don't know. I call myself a chef now. But it's not, like, I haven't gone to culinary school. I don't have anything fancy. But you put me on a line, and I will cook circles around the rest of your staff. Like, I'm that guy. Wow, okay, give me a couple days, because I know how to cook things my way, but I understand the business and capitalist view of it, and that's also part of why I like my dream now is I want my own kitchen. I really want my own kitchen. In particular, I want a old truck stop diner style kitchen. I want that here in Whitecourt. I seen there was a location that I had in mind, but well, those new Whitecourt brothers, yeah, that was my location that I wanted, and but I'm a broke person. I have no money, and well, you know, the guy there, he understandably doesn't just take me at my word that I'm a good cook, and he mentioned he'd give me a chance, but he never did. And that's fine. I work where I work now, and I'm happy there. They treat me right. They respect me. They appreciate me. Now that COVID restrictions have been lifted, I am making enough money. I wasn't before, to be honest. Like, but you know, hey, I remained working. Oh, that be the timer. So I guess we should probably wrap this up. Yeah, I didn't really get into my artistic thing, did I? Huh. Well, let's just put out that story real quick. Yeah, I know. I was young. I was a kid. I asked my grandfather to draw a picture of Santa Claus, and he did. But he did like hairy, like what's the term? I can't even think of the terminology right now. But he didn't use single strokes. He used little tiny strokes of a pencil sketch. And to me, in my memory, this is an amazing picture of Santa Claus, and that is what got me into art. But now, logically, I know my grandfather was not an artist. In fact, my grandfather was anti-artist. My grandfather told my grandmother that she was wrong to teach me and my brother art and to practice crafts with us because that's not manly. So, like, I know my grandfather was not a good artist. I know that he could not have done a masterpiece Santa Claus. But in my mind, in my memory, I can full on see this picture of Santa Claus still. and it's phenomenal. But that's what the memory is. It isn't. See, you gotta understand, and that's where I say, like, memory. It's not in stone. What I remembered, what the important detail of that memory was that, to me, from my perspective at the time, this is what got me into art, and therefore this art piece, this picture looked amazing to me. And so, as my skill grew, as my appreciation of art grew, so did the detail of that picture in my mind. Don't trust your memory, folks. Anyways, thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode, where we'll get into some more background about me, and we'll see how far we need to go before we can get into some random rants all on their own. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next week for another episode.
Oi!
Bye.